I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm delighted to introduce you to a superior author, a wonderful young woman by the name of Sarah Kittoe. She's 12 years old, and she's written a great book, and it is called Emma and the Lost Key. It takes us on an adventurous journey in Ghana, where a young girl discovers a golden key, leading her on a mystery-filled adventure with family and friends. Not only is Sarah an accomplished storyteller, she's also dedicated to giving back to her community and inspiring the next generation. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Sarah, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. You're joining us today from London, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you at school today or is this after school? Tell us what grade you're in.
No, I am in year eight, which in America would be grade seventh grade.
Great.
And I am not in school because currently it's half term, so we're off. Well, I'm off for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So today I didn't go to school.
Okay, well, that's good. It's perfect timing. You get to talk to us instead, and we're more fun than school. So that's a good thing. What inspired you to write this story, Emma and the Lost Key?
So before, when I was writing my first three books, I was inspired because when I was younger, I didn't see a lot of books with my face in them. I didn't see lots of books with the main character uh, with my face in it. So I decided to put my own face in a book, and that was when I was around 7 years old. So I decided to do that. And when I was writing my latest book about the Lost Key, it was actually inspired when I was trying out, like doing my mock tests for entering high school, secondary school. And at first it was supposed to be about Kenya, but then I decided to put my own heritage in it, and I decided it will become about the Lost Key, what it is today.
Wonderful. So now it's set in Ghana, correct? Are you originally from Ghana? Did your family emigrate from there?
No, so I was born and raised in the UK, but my dad is from Ghana, and then my mum is actually from South Africa. So I'm a mix, but uh, I I made this one about in Ghana because before I before I wrote the book, I was in Ghana for about 2, 3 weeks around that area for Easter holidays. So I was in Ghana, so I decided to base the book about my adventures.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now there are three different Amma books. This is one of them.
No, I only have one Emma book. Maybe there will be a sequel,
Mhm,
but for now, there's one Emma book. Then I have my three other books are Lindsay and the Blue Fox,
mhm,
which will have a second part to it soon.
mhm,
The Friendship Club and Other Stories, and my coloring book.
mhm.
So, but I might write a sequel to that one.
Wonderful, wonderful. And early on, you told me you wanted to read books where the heroine or the hero looks like you. By that, you mean somebody who's of African heritage?
Yes.
Great.
So just uh, but one of the books I did see that had the hero or the main character look like me
Hmm.
was a book from Alicia Dixon,
Hmm.
who is mainly known for a judge on Britain's Got Talent, but she
Hmm.
also wrote a book, Lightning Girl. And when I read that when I was around 9, 10, around that age, I was really inspired to write Amanda Lost Key as well, because it was one of the first books that I really saw my face in, for the main character, because especially she had an afro as well, which was really important. Like her main look, she had a proper afro, not braids. Well, she did have like a side braid over there, but it was a really nice book.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, you're very young to be a published author already, just 12 years old. What was the reaction of your family and friends when they found out you were going to publish your first book? And how old were you when you published your very first book?
So when I before that, because I wrote my books when I was 7 to 8 years old, I finished them when I had just turned 8.
Hmm.
So before that, I hadn't told my parents, so they didn't know that I was writing books. They didn't know anything about books. And then 2 years after I started writing books, when I was 9 years old, I decided to sort of make it a presentation without slides. And I like presented to my parents, this is what I want to do. Um, I want to become a published author. Not maybe it's like a hobby for me. So, and they asked me why did I just do it now? And I said because I wanted to be prepared just in case I wanted. You asked me questions. So they were quite surprised, but at the same, I don't really know, but I'm sure they were quite surprised. And when my friends at school found out, they were shocked, but they didn't find out until I was like graduating
Hmm.
from primary school. So they were quite surprised. They were wondering why I hadn't told them all this time, but it was awful planning times.
Well, it's very wonderful. I'm sure a lot of people, including your parents and family, are very, very proud of you. You also work as a philanthropist. So tell us a little bit about your work in giving back to the community.
So from a very young age, even before I started writing my books, me and my family, we would do quite a lot of charity projects, well, sort of projects. For example, during Christmas, the first time we did this, I was around 5, 6, 7, around that age group. And what we did, we opened our presents very, very early in the morning, and around lunchtime, like brunch time,
Mhm.
we made little kits that had sandwiches, socks, like the necessities that are needed, and then we gave them to the homeless. Like
Okay.
we went around Croydon and a bit further, but we went around looking for homeless people. Then we gave them the kits, and if we couldn't find any, we would give them to the homeless shelter for them to supply for the homeless people.
Oh.
So from a very young age, like I did lots of philanthropy work, and now that I'm selling books, I put those family values and also my faith
Mhm.
into what I do. So whenever I sell books, for example, when I came back from a big book event at the Barbican, all the money I would gather it up, count it, see how much I have in cash, see how much I have a card, put it all together, then I would split it 50-50, and then I would give it to my two charities, Centrepoint, which is a more national charity around the UK, and then the Wednesday Club, which is a more local charity within my area.
Mhm.
And we haven't given it all to them yet, but it's like sometimes we split it up into little chunks to give it to them. And that it has real so mainly my family values have really have really impacted on what I do. And not only that, but I've also just recently commissioned two libraries in Ghana. after I had written my launched my new book, Emma and the Lost Key, I went back to Ghana to commission the library project that I started before I before I started writing the book.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, you're a busy young lady. 3 books already published, working in charitable situations. 4 books. You got a fourth book out. What's the name of the 4th book?
Emma and the Lost Key. Wait, so we have got Emma and the Lost Key, Lindsay and the Blue Fox, the French Republic. Let me just show you. I've got these 4.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, that's great. And the artwork, do you work on the artwork as well, or do you work with an artist to get that done?
Yes. What we do, we usually sketch. I always sketch the characters, design the characters, like create the different scenes.
Mhm.
And before my first 3 books, the author just enhanced them so they could be more animated. And then in my 4th book, my latest book, well, I worked very close with the illustrator.
Mhm.
So I sketched all of it, created all of these scenes, designs, and even the clothes that they're wearing. Because most of it is in uniform, so I created the uniform that would also be would be usual for a Ghanaian school. So I did some research and then I showed those to the illustrator, and yet again he enhanced it, made it more animated, and added a few more features. So yeah, that's what I did.
Wonderful, wonderful. A published author by the age of 12, actually earlier than that. 4 books out altogether, very active in her community, very active in charitable acts. Sarah is quite a person, quite an author, and this book we've been focusing on today is wonderful. Your children will love it. It's called Emma and the Lost Key. It takes us on an adventure through Ghana, where a young girl discovers a golden key, leading her on a mystery-filled adventure with friends and family. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for
I
inviting me and talking to me.
Oh, it's great having you on the show. We appreciate your hard work on these books and the wonderful work on this interview. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.